Hello, everybody, and welcome to Innovation Spotlight 003. We're getting quite a few of these now, so it's good to keep on the numbers. My name is Faisal Zia. I'm one of the directors here at GSMA Foundry. There's going to be a link in the chat for Foundry if you want more information. I'm currently on the road at the moment, so joining you from Hong Kong. And normally I have my boss Rich with me, but he's also on his travels. He's just got off a plane from Canada, so he's going to be joining us hopefully in the next few minutes, so we can get started. To get into the topic at hand, I'm really pleased that we've got Luis Ramirez joining us. He is the founder and CEO of Mawari. Luis, welcome to the show. Let's see if we can get you up.
Yeah. Hello,
Hey, Luis.
everyone. Nice to meet you
Uh,
virtually.
all good, all good. Lewis, you're obviously in Tokyo, so today's call is kind of a bit international. We've got London, Hong Kong, and Tokyo on the line. So uh, pleased to have you with us. Let's kind of jump into it. For those of you who aren't familiar, and for those of the audience that aren't familiar, what is Mawari and what is the problem that you're solving in the tech space?
Okay, so Mawari. Mawari is a full ecosystem and platform that, in short, is creating a technology that delivers the next generation of content or the internet per se, which is extended reality, which includes augmented reality, virtual reality, and now labeled by Apple spatial computing. To simplify it even more, think about like right now we are streaming video and we're having a real-time conversation, but we see a future in with everything, all interactions in the internet will be in 3D as we move into the next generation of devices. So that needs a completely new technology stack and infrastructure, and that's what we are building, solving all the technical bottlenecks that exist today to make that happen.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. And I think one of the things that kind of helped bring this to life is when I joined you guys with the MUTEC event in Tokyo back end of last year. Just kind of seeing the new experiences that AR, VR, and XR are kind of bringing to the table. You know, when you were looking to set up Mawari, what was the light bulb moment that kind of led you to say, "Oh, we need a new company. We need to set up something new in this space"?
Sure. Well, there are two crucial moments or light bulb moments, as I would say. So as the first one is, as you know, I'm also co-founder of Mutech, the festival. And when we were planning for the 2016 edition, it was also in parallel when a few years back Facebook bought the company Oculus, the VR headset, and there was a big trend about, okay, so this is the next generation of content. A lot of developers trying to jump into creating applications for this first version of Oculus. So similarly, all the artist community at Mutech, as they are very cutting edge in terms of using the latest technology for audiovisual art, really wanted to get into this technology, but we saw that it was not as easy as picking up an instrument and playing a song or trying to learn something more of traditional media per se, that you require to have high programming skills, network skills, mathematics, physics, so all other things that sounds like nuclear or rocket science, just to build a very short XR experience at the time. So that's how we got inspired. Like, okay, so there will be a need here for a solution that focuses on facilitating three different things. One, the creation. Two, the distribution. and three, finally, the barrier of entry for end users, the accessibility for end users to this content. So that was how that light bulb says, let's create a company. The whatchamacallit, the name Mawari came out. And then, uh, and this is very interesting because this is a telco story in the end, an operator story. We were introduced to KDDI. That was back in 2017 or 18, if I remember well. And as you know, KDDI is one of the most futuristic and forward-looking operators in this space. So at the time, they were already envisioning how customer service will evolve in the future, in the 2030s, especially because Japan has a aging population, so there's need for unmanned or remote human resources. So one of the ideas at the time that is actually coming to reality a lot more, and now 7 years later, is digital humans. So think a completely digital representation of a person that is fully programmatic, connected to an AI backend, that instead of just being a non-personal chatbot that is just text, and even when you make a phone call, you get really upset when you get the automatic machine instead of actually getting a real person as an operator. So it's the same. So having a personalized figure that can assist you was their vision. Now, at the time, this digital human was integrated with IBM Watson and done with Unreal Engine. So, needless to say, it needed huge amounts of computer rendering power and also all the AI processing on the back end. So, and the mission of KDDI was, okay, well, we are an operator. We have end users with smartphones, and eventually they will have smart glasses. So how do we deliver this? Because it's obvious that such a complicated backend cannot be processed on device. And then that's tied into, okay, 5G, advanced networks, and so on, because it's a very good use case for streaming this. So, so they made a big RFP in which, and here's a little bit advertisement for Mawari, in which there were other big corporations, including big tech, and we were the only ones that could solve the problem of streaming this digital human into AR glasses. At the time, we were a three-person startup, so it's kind of like David and Goliath type of story. But
Yeah,
what we learned is that we did this with the current state of technology at the time, which is called pixel streaming, which for AR and VR is kind of like a remote desktop streaming. So you put a camera on a screen that is rendering something. So to do it in AR, you put two cameras, one related to each eye, and you synchronize it to your headset, but in the end, it's video streaming. So we realized that that was highly vulnerable, and not that solution that could really scale. And that in the end, it was video. So video was not made for 3D worlds or augmented reality. So that's when we went down the rabbit hole, and we said, well, okay, we need to create a solution that is 3D streaming versus just use existing pipeline and try to make something that works, but that will never scale. So that's
yeah.
that's the aha moment, and this is how we went in a very different tangent than most of the companies that are in the XR space.
Yeah. So really and truly, you guys are kind of the pioneers in the industry, in the sense that, coming along, solving a problem that others at the time, especially big tech, were not able to solve. That's quite impressive. Just to kind of rewind a little bit, the name Mawari, it's not one that kind of rolls off the tongue so great. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about why you came up with the name Mawari.
Sure. Well, Mawari in Japanese means your surroundings or look around. And as I mentioned, we spent a lot of time trying to think of the name because we actually started. I'm not Japanese, but I've been living in Japan since 2011. So we started the company in Japan. So we wanted to have that symbolic meaning that would be related to AR and VR. So look around your surroundings, and the concept that today we have this 2D media that we see in a frame, and the way we see that the media will just evolve is that this frame will become embedded in your eyes, and then all the surroundings is the media. So that's mixed reality. So that's how we came up with the name. And on top of that, the kanji is a square and a little square inside, and that means rotation, which is also highly related to what we do.
Nice, nice, nice. I like that. I like that. I like how you linked it back to familiar surroundings and the environment that you're in. Um, Being one of the pioneers, obviously within this space, one of the questions we work with quite a few founders. You've raised 6.5 million in terms of funding so far. How's the journey been? What's been the biggest challenge in scaling the business, and whereabouts are you right now?
Sure. Well, first of all, is quite a roller coaster, just like any startup
Yeah,
in emerging technology. I would say it's a double challenge because in just as a startup, finding product market fit is very difficult. But you go after established market and potential problem solution framework that exists today. But in the case of Mawari, we just saw, I mean, we were very lucky to have early access to 5G through KDDI. And we realized, okay, this will become a bottleneck in 2024 onwards. Now we're finally in 2024, but back in 2017, it was like, okay, so we're solving a problem that nobody knows about and that people can't even imagine that it will exist, but we know it will exist. So it just, being stubborn in that sense, and try to really always educate and evangelize all our partners about why this is important. So that has been kind of like the one of the biggest challenges is that the evolution of the XR devices is still is getting much better. Like this year the Vision Pro was released, and it's a very good demo of what the reality will look like in a few years. But still, the device is very heavy and has like is very thick, and it has a
bulky.
wire with
Yeah,
a wire with the battery and so on. So so user adoption is one of the biggest roadblocks here because it's interesting. Everybody, when we talk about AR or VR, we relate to sci-fi movies. We see I mean, my generation is probably Minority Report. Older people goes to Blade Runner or others. New generations come to Ready Player One. But we all, it's very interesting because this is only happens, I think, in my opinion, with AI and AR and VR in which when you talk about those technologies, even the most like person that is not related to technology can actually picture something because they have seen the movie about it. But yeah, at the same time, it's very futuristic, and we don't see it as something that will happen in our lifetime. That's the mental blocker here, because people that is not in the industry don't realize that the technology advancement at the state of the art, even in 2024, is there, and it takes a big effort to convince someone sometimes to okay put on the Vision Pro, and but then once they wear it, everybody that at least I have told them put the Vision Pro on, they are converted immediately. It's like, I see the future, and so that's
Cool.
what I would say is the biggest challenge. Is becoming less of a challenge now in 2024, but in the early years it was super difficult.
I think I just came off a panel around 5G Advanced, and the key number one use case that came across that was XR, ARVR XR, and it's the enablement piece in the sense that 5G Advanced brings improved uplink for the immersive experiences, and as part of that, ARVR. So, you weren't wrong when we were saying 2024 was around about the right sort of time where we would see this potential bottleneck. In that sense, I'm pleased to see that we've got Rich on the line. Rich just joined us off a flight, fresh from Canada, I think it is.
Nice red eyes, as you can see. It was a red eye flight. Hey, Louise, how are you? Long time no see.
Long time to see you. Good to see you.
Well, funnily enough, the first time I met Louise, when he had a video which described the stuff that he was just talking about, and it had a flying car in it. And my God, could have done with that this morning, getting in from the airport. And more slightly ironically, that I was actually over in the Advanced Air Mobility Symposium with the being hosted by the International Civil Aviation Organization, part of the UN, and they were looking to see what does the future look like for everything from a drone to connected taxis that we flying taxis effectively, or things like that. And we were discussing how 5G technology and beyond could take part in the structure of that new ecosystem as it's getting built. So yeah, could have done with a bit of it, both of those today.
Interesting. That's cool. Good to know that there's a lot of awareness now, and people are starting to, and companies look into this solution for the future.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry, FaZe, back to you.
That's all right. So I think that's quite related. We're talking about the future and that side of things. There's a lot of buzz, a lot of hype around AR/VR. There's also, a fair amount of skepticism. Metaverse came and went. AR/VR is a similar sort of thing. What do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about the technology and the story?
Sure. Well, I will double down in my previous comment, in which it's a very far away technology and that may not happen in our lifetimes. And it's just about proving people wrong. We need a ChatGPT moment, because we also thought about AI. Like, last night actually was watching Terminator 2. And I just smiled, because we used to think about the technology like, oh yeah, in the faraway future, not in my lifetime, robots will take over the earth, and we will have to fight. Matrix is also about that, right? But now with ChatGPT, we're seriously considering all the ethics about AI, and even potentially slowing down the AGI, because it's getting real and serious. So I think we just need that ChatGPT moment for AR and VR. I think it will happen within the next 2-3 years, because now the devices are more readily available and good for end users. And soon we will see, wow, okay, this is actually happened. Second one is that the other misconception is people just think about VR, which in the end, yeah, it's an isolating environment, but it is a spectrum from going from VR to AR. And I do see augmented reality, just wearing glasses, that it gives you productivity and utility for your daily life, is something that just as we have now the smartphone, it will become part of our daily life. So yes, that's the other misconception, that it's occluding of the real world, and that is more for gaming or some sort of niche use case. In AR, there's a lot of utility for the daily life.
I think this is one of the good points that you raise. Is it's not. This is the impression that I get. It's no longer a question of the market has been educated, consumers have been educated in the sense that we've had Oculus, we've had the Apple devices come out, and even now, when we look at some of the AR use cases that operators are implementing, whether it's giving it to their field engineers or industrial applications, it's kind of coming to life a little bit more in the sense that it is not something that's going to come at some point in the future. It's definitely something that's, I think, within the next, as you say, within the next couple of 2-3 years. Hopefully we'll have that chat GPT moment of it all becomes much more fruitful. You're clearly passionate about the space. It's probably something that drives you, the work that you're doing. What's a AR application or VR application that excites you about the future? Genuinely excites you about the future?
That's a good question. Like I said, for me, yeah, augmented reality, mixed reality, or spatial computing, as and now it's labeled by Apple, would be just an application that is your assistant throughout the day. Like, for example, I don't know, you look at this bottle and it tells you, okay, it's water, or it's a soda, it has X amount of calories, you already drank too much sugar, please stop. And then, okay, so the next bus stop is in few minutes, here's the shortest route, and so on and so forth. I mean, we kind of do these kind of things with our smartphone, right? But it's actually more active in a way in which we need to open up the application, keep that engagement, and give our full attention to the smartphone. But in the case of augmented reality, since it will be embedded in your eyes as glasses, it's just always running in the background, and again, it's a good combination of AI. Will be always ready when you actually need it. That then leads to communication. So that's the other area that excites me, and it's the problem that Mawari is solving. It's like this high fidelity communication in 3D is something that will become the standard. As you've seen in the Kingston's movies, having virtual conference, but it feels like everybody's in the same room, and that will lead to from industrial use cases to just day-to-day use cases. So think about like, okay, so for example, I would like also to just record videos of my mom now in full 3D. So later I could show my kids how she was actually when and they get older, and also transcend that through generations, and that all will be 3D data, and will be need to be delivered to these devices.
That's pretty immense. I didn't think about that last bit where you were talking about 3D avatars of effectively family to replicate that. That's pretty cool. Rich, over to you.
No, mine was really, that's very much the personal side of it, but what do you see it doing for telecoms? So how do you see telecom providers playing a role, the wider ecosystem, in the vision which you've just shared with us?
Well, from the get-go, it is the last mile, of course, because as I mentioned, all this content is now exponential in terms of size and compute power. And if we really want to scale this to a form factor that is as light as some sunglasses, or even eventually become contact lenses, we need to sacrifice processing power in the devices, right? So that means that content needs to be uploaded and then downloaded or streamed into these devices, and that's a critical factor where operators play an important role, because now it's about moving and orchestrating compute power plus content plus data. So it's all about advanced and programmable networks, not just your traditional phone call and that's it. There's a lot of parts that need to be integrated and orchestrated in real time to make this technology seamless.
Rich, you're on mute.
Always get caught out on that, don't you? Yeah, no, that's super exciting, and it's kind of, it just shows there's a role to play for mobile operators and the assets that they've got and the wider ecosystem in making it reality. Now, I know you've got a test, is it a test net with KDDI that you're running? Could you maybe just share with us what that is, break it down maybe, what does it mean, and then why it's so significant?
Sure. Okay, so as part of the fundraise, as we mentioned before, Mawari as a company joined the Web3 world, which, you know, Web3 has the philosophy of creating a more fair share of the internet value chain in the end, in which many participants can join, including operators, in which each one has a participation per se. So for example, operators is the last mile. It could be edge compute resources, could be the devices, but also in the end, we need content, we need other type of participation. And the point of the Mawari testnet, it was to validate that one, it is possible to distribute and decentralize compute and distribute it through an advanced network in 5G. So that was the first objective, to actually show that our technology in the end works in this decentralized framework. And second, prove that actually is monetizable, that it actually provides a value to the end user, and it can move forward. So we did those two steps last year in December at MUTEC, in which basically we did a two-day show of mixed reality, collaborating in this testnet where all the resources were from third parties, but we provided an immersive art performance as here facial experience. And the results were like, we sold out the show in less than 2 days. We had more than 70% of the attendees where it was the first time experiencing augmented reality, and about 80% scored this as a high satisfaction, and they would recommend it to their family and friends. So we just proved that actually this type of content and this type of provider network is not just a proof of concept and something to look into the future, that actually consumers are ready to pay for a new experience and of this quality. It was a 7-minute performance, and the ticket price was $20. So that gives you a baseline on how actually for example, if we talk about open gateway, how a network API can be monetized. So where in our specific use case, where we see network slicing as a big feature is at concerts. You have a lot of people in the same cell tower, in the same real estate, right? So we need to prioritize the traffic for those people that are streaming. But because people are paying for a premium experience, it's okay to bundle into the price of the ticket that network API call. So for example, this was one of the main objectives, you know, from the operator point of view with KDDI. Okay, so how do we monetize network APIs? And we found a good way for starters.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, one question that I had just as a follow up, you kind of shared on the technology side, you shared on obviously the audience side. How are creatives kind of taking this on in that space? You were working with one of the leading artists in Japan on the demo, if I recall.
Sure. Well, from the artist point of view, if we talk about XR, it becomes a new medium to reach their audience. So as long as it's accessible and easy for them and for their end users, of course, they're completely open. But when we talk about technology to them, they just get scared in the end. And this is part of our mission at Mawari, that, for example, from our point of view, most of these programmable networks need to be really happening in the background for the end users and sometimes even for the content creators, because they don't know how it's very hard to educate why this matters and why they should pay for it, right? But if you embed it into the ticket price, they know, okay, I'm paying for a premium experience, and then I'm willing to pay top dollar because this is something that I'm enjoying in the end. Once this use case and technology get to a mainstream value and is in a way, let's call it commoditized, we can go, for example, with the Netflix model, in which I see that now they have different tiers for the HD all the way through the 4K version, right? Which is the ideal business model for programmable networks. But we need to go step by step.
No, that's cool. And I think that's the key is to go step by step and make it a reality. I think part of the we were talking about this in AI in the panel today, is the goal of AI is to make sure that nobody really says the word AI because it's just seamless and everybody uses it. And it
Exactly.
has to be that simplicity, because if you don't have that simplicity from the outset, then you've already lost at the first hurdle. So I think it very much so kind of echoes here. Just as we're kind of conscious of the time, so just talk a little bit about the future of AR. We touched on it a little bit earlier. If we fast forward 10 years, I know you said 2-3 years we'll have this out there, but if we fast forward 10 years, how do you envisage how AR/VR is going to be integrated in our daily lives?
Sure. Okay. So taking AI into consideration, I think the two technologies are actually the ones with the most synergistic approach, because as I say, in your daily life, just as use case I described, okay, so you have glasses, there's computer vision that detects your environment, and you need information in real time. All that is displayed in augmented reality, but it's being processed by AI. So it will help us enhance our daily life and make smarter decisions, and also prevent accidents. So what I do see in the next 10 years is that if we do our work well as operators and companies that are really accelerating this technology to become mainstream, is I do see similar to the iPhone moment, in which by 2034 most of the households will have AR devices with them, and we will use them for education, we will use them for our daily life, we will use them for driving, for cooking, you anything that you can imagine, because it's the next computing platform.
Do you see us having contact lenses or some sort of, you mentioned the immersion with the eyes and the integration with it. Is that somewhere that you kind of see it, rather than having the heavy headset or indeed glasses? What kind of medium would we be using?
That's the goal. Yes. For now, the vision of most companies is to get to a very slim form factor of glasses. But there are companies like Mojo Vision that were very visionaries, and they did actually launch some smart contact lenses. I mean, I don't think in the next 10 years we will get there with the contact lenses, but somewhere in the future, for sure, we will have that.
Cool. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Amazing. So, Louise, what's next for Mawari? Obviously, we've been, in contact for the last couple of years, seen some exciting developments, rapid growth, everything like that. What's coming next? You got any big announcements coming up, or anything revolutionary coming out?
Sure. Well, there's a lot of things coming up. One of them is we've been lucky enough that we're about to announce our next fundraise. We have companies like Samsung now giving their vote of trust in
Wow.
Mawari. The next thing is next week there is Token 2049 and Solana Breakpoint in Singapore. Big blockchain industry events and Web3 industry events. We will make a couple of announcements there, but mainly this year we will go from testnet to mainnet per se. We will be working with other operators, not just KDDI, and we will start going to market in a commercial way with these new use cases that we've been stress testing in Japan.
Well, I can't wait to see it. Hopefully, we'll get to see each other in person this year. That'll be good. Thanks, over to you.
Definitely.
I think as we're kind of coming towards the close, feel free to ask any questions in the chat, and we can pass those on to Louise. Kind of just take a little bit of an ask me anything kind of flavor to this bit. 2 questions that come up for entrepreneurs listening who are inspired by your journey. What's the one piece of advice that you'd give them?
To never give up is not easy, but if you do believe in an idea, just stress test it and just see that you have a foundation to solve a problem. Don't give up, because across the road there will be many people and very opinionated people on what should you be doing, what's your product market fit. But in the end, you are the expert because you found the problem and you're solving it, right? So it's up to you to really find that product market fit with your customers versus just trying to find kind of like a quick synergy with someone that has a similar problem or something that potentially related, because that can take your startup to a complete different direction to what you're really demanding. Sometimes it's good, but most of the cases it just turns into the unique value propositions that you thought you had, then it's completely diluted. That would be my piece of advice.
You dilute that uniqueness that got you started on the journey. Cool. One question that's come in, the age-old one. If you could have dinner with any 3 people, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
Okay. Well, I would have dinner with Einstein, with Da Vinci, and who else? Let me pick someone that is still alive. Probably with Elon Musk as well, just to add into the mix.
Why? I'm just curious.
Because they have made significant contributions in the end, thinking outside the box. I would like to understand more their motivations of why they're doing it, because I see that very successful people is driven by not money in the end, very different things. So I'm just curious about that. It's just very random, but I'm curious to understand why successful people, what drives them, what motivates them.
Fantastic. Right, we're just going to close on this next question. We're setting up a little bit of a tradition. A shout out goes to Diary of the CEO, Stephen Bartlett, with this question. The concept is the guest asks a question for the next speaker in the series. Now, the question could be about business, life, technology, anything completely off the wall. What question would you pose to our next guest?
All right, I will put an interesting one. What technology would the next speaker wish that was never created or implemented?
I like that one. That's a good question that we could ask for the next one. So fantastic. Lewis, it goes without saying, thank you so much for joining us on today's session. And I think that we can call that a wrap. Rich, anything from you?
Nah, fantastic. Been a fantastic session. Louise, good to see you as always. Very
Likewise.
inspirational. Thanks for all the help with Open Gateway as well. I know you're a big supporter of that.
Yes, there will be more coming on that end. We should talk.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Fantastic. All right. Well, that's it for now. Thanks very much, all, and stay tuned for the next episode.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Take care. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.